Welcome student to our class on multi-threaded programming in Java. Now what is a thread? As you can see in the definition of the book, a multi-threaded program contains two or more parts that can run concurrently. Each part of such a program is called a thread, and each thread defines a separate path of execution. That means a thread is working independent of one another. So this is what is multitasking is looks like in a operating system scenario. This means that a single program can perform two or more tasks simultaneously. So there are many situations where you can see this kind of multitasking. For example, you opened, like for example, I am viewing this page right now. At the same time, I can also, like you can see that there are other tabs are also opened over here. Now I can also say at the same time I can print it. Now while printing this Adobe, this is our Acrobat Reader is also, I am able to view it also, and it is doing the task of so-called printing also. So that is multitasking. So that means two separate tasks it is doing independent of one another. So that is a good example of a multi-threaded application. So multi-threading enables you to write very efficient programs that makes maximum use of the CPU, because idle time can be kept to a maximum. So you will be seeing these things as we will be I'll be showing you some programs on this, how we can utilize the CPU timing. That is a CPU, how we can utilize the CPU by not wasting the CPU resources. So Java, now one good thing about Java is that it has already provided a class that helps you to create threads. Now there are many ways of creating a threads, right? So a thread in Java can be of various stage. That is, we call it as a life cycle of a thread. Like a thread can be running, it can be ready to run as soon as it gets the CPU time. A running thread can be suspended, that is, it can be just paused for some time, which temporarily suspends its activity. A suspended thread can then be resumed. So these are the stage: running, ready to run, suspended, right, resumed, blocked. Blocked is when a thread can be blocked when waiting for a resource. At any time, a thread can be terminated, which halts the execution immediately. Once terminated, the thread cannot be resumed. So once it has been killed. So these are the different stages in which a thread can run, and these are all possible with your Java programs. Now threads are also given sometimes priorities, so that priority part we will be discussing as we proceed with this thread class. So in thread can be these things like synchronization, messaging, these will be discussed as we proceed with the classes. Now the thread can be created in Java in two ways. One is by using the thread class, and another is by using a runnable interface. If you remember what is the difference between an interface and a class. A class has already implemented all the methods, whereas in an interface we have to implement those methods in a class that implements the interface. So there are two ways. As I said, one is you can create it by the thread class, and another is by running it from the runnable interface. Now Java's, now it's totally your choice which one how you want to create a thread. So Java's multi-threading system is built upon thread class. Its methods and companion interface is the runnable. Okay, so that to create a new thread, your program will either extend the thread or implement the runnable interface. So as I said, now this thread class has got a lot of methods that helps it to optimize your program. For example, these are some of the methods which again in future we'll be using, like methods like sleep, run, join, is alive, all those things, start. So these are very very important methods. So they help you to create your thread program efficiently. One of the important thread that we already have been dealing with always is the main thread, and the main thread is already it's the main program actually of the Java that runs your that when you execute the program, then it is the main thread that executes. So apart from this, you of course you will be learning how to create other threads. So I'll be showing you two programs today. All right, you can follow this book also. This book it's very good for these programs over here. All right, so I will be showing you two programs. All right, so here it is. One is by using the thread class. Now I'll just show you very simply. Now you see, you have to just say I have a class A, that's the name, which extends the thread class. So that means immediately this A is a derived class of a thread class. Thread class is the base. Alright, so this is a predefined class. I did not create it, but this is my own class, right? Now a very important method that is there inside a thread is called the run. Very, very important method, because this is the method under which if you do anything, that is what will be executed when the thread will be called. So remember it. So this run is very, very important. Now one thing about a run is that you don't call this method run directly. Alright, you will be seeing it very soon. Alright, so now basically what is this thread doing? I have a thread which extends class A, and what is this thread doing? It is just from I equals to 1, I less than 5. So it is going to go 5 times, that is as a loop, and every time it is going to print if it is running from, because you can see that we have another thread B, same, this also J I equals to I less than 5, so this also execute 5 times, and it is every time wherever it is executing, it will tell us from which thread it is executing, from thread A, and finally when it finish, it will say exit from thread A, and similarly from B, similarly from C. Simply, how do we create a class? Oh, sorry, object. So here is my main thread, and now you see A, just you say new A and dot start. Notice I am not calling run, we are calling a method called start. Now the start will automatically call the run of the respective thread. So which thread it is? This one, it will start, A will start, that means it will go 5 times, then B will start, and then it will go 5 times, and then C will start, and then it will go 5 times. So I can just show you by running it. This is a very basic example of a thread. Now you can see over here. All right, so let me show you. These are the outputs. See, A started 1 to 5. All right, then exit from A, then B started 1 to 5, and simply this one, and finally C exit. So that's what this thread is doing. Nothing much about it, but what we learned in this small program is that how to create the thread by using the thread class. All right. So now a little bit complex one that we'll learn is how to implement the runnable interface. So here is an example of the runnable interface. So again, as I said, it's an implement. It's a interface. So when you say the word interface, runnable is an interface, we have to use the word implement, right? Like in a class, we use the word extend, but in a interface, we use the word implement. So here I have created a class by the name runnable demo. This is from the book itself, right? And this is implementing the runnable interface. Now notice here T is an object of the thread class, all right, and of course this thread name is string, right? So there is a, I hope you know what it means when function name or a method name and the class name is same. It is called constructor. So here we have a constructor which takes a string as an argument, and whatever name you will supply, this thread variable of that particular object will become the name that you will supply, and then it will say creating that particular name. All right, again, can you see the run method? All right, so even in the runnable in this one we have to implement it. So now one interesting thing to be this one is that first of all it will say which thread it is running, because the thread that will be creating it. All right, now this will be creating the thread, so it will show me the name. Right, now here is the interesting part. This program is again going from 4 to 0, right? Means not exactly 0, 4 to 1. So that is 4, 3, 2, 1, right? So it will go that many times, right? And so 4, 3, 2, 1, right? And every time it will print which thread is running. So the name, right? Okay, and the value of I will be 4 first, then it will be 3, then 2, then 1, fine. But every time it prints, you notice one particular method that I've used is called thread.sleep. Remember the sleep method that I've shown you? There are lots of methods that the thread has. Now what it does is that this actually pause the thread for 50, means for only 50 milliseconds, right? If you want it to be 1 second, then you have to say 1000, right? So let me just show you. Okay, so I'll make it 500. 500 means half a second, right? So half a second this thread will stop, right? Now if this thread stops for half a second and I have another thread, then this will give the time to the other thread. So that means other thread will start running during that time. So after printing one character, means one this value of I, then it pause for half a second, right? And then it finally means it will keep on pausing this, that means but in that meantime what will happen is that it will start executing the other thread. Now here you see I have the start method again. All right, if the thread is null, right, then we are going to create a new thread and we say t dot start. T dot start means it will call this run method. Do you remember the same thing I have explained in the thread class also? So the moment you say t dot start, it will execute this one. So like this, it will keep on. Now here is my program. So now you see here it's a bit different, right? Here you see I have R1 which also belongs to this runnable demo, and this is the thread one. All right, R1 dot start. Similarly, R2 dot start. So how many threads we have created with the help of this runnable interface? Two threads, R1 and R2. Now the moment this R1 will start, of course it will start this one first, but then here the name will be what? As we supply from here, thread 1. So thread 1, and then it will start, and the moment the other one also start, 5-second delay, then again sorry, half a second delay, and then it will run the other one, right? So like this it will keep on doing. But notice one thing, as I am running this, it will take some time, because can you see the pause that is going around? All right, notice the order in which it is running: creating thread 1, first one, starting thread 1, creating thread 2, and starting the thread 2. So both the threads started. All right, now running thread 1, fine, thread 1, then there is thread 1 and then 4, right, again running thread 2, again then thread 2, 4, fine, then again thread 1, thread 1, then again thread. Can you see the way it is running? First that thread, because half a second delay is there in both the threads. So when one thread sleeps, the other threads run during that time, and when the other thread stop, means sleeps, then the other thread keeps on running. So that is where it is doing the multitasking. Both the thread is doing the same job. What am I like in the previous thread class? I have created them. These threads are of different, means this extended one, they are doing different. If this may be 4 times, this may be 5 times, this may be 10 times, right? So they could have been different threads. But if you look at here, both R1 and R2 belongs to this runnable demo. That means if both R1 and R2 are going to execute this only 4 5 3 sorry 4 3 2 1 times, right? Execute this one. So that means it is doing multitasking, but every time there is a pause of half a second. So that, yes, this is an example of how we can create a thread, and by using the thread class as well as by using the runnable interface. So this program is also taken from the book. So I would like you to type it on your own and just check it out by means you can just execute this program for your own understanding. Thank you.